Most welcome to 1611 of the Heidegger series. And we will continue with Life, Death by Jacques Derrida. And we are now well into the second session. Logic of the living, she, the living. And we ended in just before the quote. And we've been talking Ich bin der und der, the Nietzschean double heritage. And I compared it to what we previously went through with Francois Jacob, where you have a dead father or DNA. That is a mechanistic, deterministic, rigid system. In that sense, dead. The other origin is the mother, life. Comparable in microbiology to the living system, the brain, for instance, which can change its habits. It can acquire knowledge. It is non-rigid. It's changeable, and therefore in all aspects different from death. I think this needs to be remembered. It is in all aspects different from death. Death is unchangeable. And think of it as this. The father of Nietzsche is absent. It means that he will not be able to do anything. So here's also the past. The past in the mechanical picture is unchangeable, mechanical, set, rigid, unchangeable. This is also close to Köster, where the history is set once and for all, cannot be changed. It is so, I often get the idea, or you can compare it to things that are cut into stone. A nice example, I think, is what I saw in Venice many years ago. Viking runes cut into the Venetian lion, which can be found in Venice. Been there for 1,000 years, unchangeable. That view is a dead view. That's the dead heritage. The mother and also quantum mechanics says that the only thing we can change is the past. It's a fancy name for it. Retrocausality. I will not go into that one now. to ease your understanding into how we, so to speak, mold reality to make it real. But this is what history is. Geschichte, in the words of Heidegger. It becomes real only if we participate. If we think everything that is past is cut in stone in that sharp, dead way, we will not reach into the past nor the future or reality. Once more, we are pointing to the Möbius strip, where both sides, the changeable and the unchangeable, are comparable to the perceived two sides of the Möbius strip, but they turn out to be the same. If you put your finger on one side and go one circular round, you will not come back to the same side, but you will have passed from dead side to the living side. You need to make two rounds, and in a sense you never come back to the same place. This is a living understanding in the broader sense, where we sort of take the antonyms of death and life, go further and see, they are both necessary to have the different aspects of living and being dead. This quote handles this very good, excellently. And I start there now. This double origin, diese doppelte Herkunft, as it were, from both the highest and the lowest rungs on the ladder of life, at the same time a decadent and a beginning. This, if anything, explains that neutrality, that freedom from all partiality, from all taking sides in relation to the total problem of life. That perhaps distinguishes me. I have a subtler sense of smell for the signs of ascent and decline. Of what rises and what falls. Upwards and downwards. than any other human being before me. I am the teacher par excellence for this. I know both. I am both. Ich kenne beides, ich bin beides. So he's both sides of the Möbius strip at the same time, and therefore they can be different. Ich kenne beides, ich bin beides. I know both, the two of them. Or perhaps we should just say the two. I am the two, and the two here is life, death. When Friedrich Nietzsche says to us, do not be mistaken, know that I am der und der. Der und der is both of them. The two of them as death, life. He the dead, she the living. We have to read this in its letter, in the original language. Just as Violette earlier translated. I am as my father, already dead. As in, pathetically naive it can be to say Nietzsche wrote this. Sorry, as in me, my father is dead. So he translates, I know both, I am both. I know them, I incarnate both of them. it is this logic of the dead as logic of the living that we must endlessly decipher when Friedrich Nietzsche feigns a signing by saying, Ich bin der und der. I am not going to read Ecce Homo with you. I am simply citing before changing course. I am reciting. Resituating by means of a few points of reference this affirmation of the demonic neutrality of midday. Which is especially not negative. A neutrality that is above all not negative or dialectical. I recite, therefore, without comment, I am both. My father died at the age of 36. He was delicate, kind, and morbid. As a being that is destined merely to pass by. More a gracious memory of life than life itself. Thus the Father is not only dead when the Son lives on. He, the Father, was dead even while he was living. He was as the living Father only the memory of life, of a prior, always prior life. This family structure, the father dead, the mother living before all else, and after all else, to the point of burying the son to whom she gave birth and attending his funeral. It's a gruesome fact about Nietzsche. To the point of remaining a virgin in the face of everything that happens and everything she survives. This structure, which I elsewhere call the logic of obsequence, is exemplified in the family of Christ. In the Nietzsche family, if we consider that the mother survived what is called the collapse, and in general in every family, as family, if we bracket all the facts, and Nietzsche will have first repeated the death of his father in his body before the recovery that he then also recounts in Ecce Homo. In the same year in which his life went downward, mine too went downward. At 36, I reached the lowest point of my vitality. I still lived, but without being able to see 3 steps ahead. Then it was 1879. I retired from my professorship at Basel, spent the summer in St. Moritz, like a shadow. And the next winter in Naumburg as a shadow. This was my minimum. The wanderer and his shadow originated at this time. Doubtless, I then knew about shadows. A bit further on, my readers know perhaps in what way I consider dialectic as a symptom of decadence. For example, in the most famous case and further on still, apart from the fact that I am a decadent, I am also the opposite. Read the rest of the beginning of section 2 of the first chapter. Section 1 also began with the affirmation of this double provenance. And section 3 does as well. This double series of experiences, this access to two apparently separate worlds, is repeated in my nature in every respect. I am a double. I have a second sight. In addition to the first. Indeed quotable. The alternative, the gift of second sight. And perhaps also a third. Right before this, at the end of the preceding section. He had written, well then, I am the opposite of a décadent. For I have just described myself That is the end of section 2. Here's the end of section 3. In order to understand anything at all of my Zarathustra, one must perhaps be similarly conditioned as I am. With 1 foot beyond life, and so rather than life or and/or death, it is the step beyond that counts, the extra, the one step that makes, I would say in my comment, takes it from 6 to 7, turns a circle into a Möbius strip. Read Blanchot again, and the strange syntax. Without syntax. Of the pas au-delà that approaches death in what I will call the step by step of an impossible overstepping or transgression. The fact that the signature of the autobiographer remains a credit open onto eternity, and that it refers back to one of the two eyes contracting its name only through the ring of the eternal return, does not prevent, indeed, it even allows the one who says, summer I have become entirely, and summer noon. Also to say, I am double, and thus I am not to be confused, not yet, with my work. And it is in this difference in ecohume, in this difference of the autobiographical as allobiographical or thanatobiographical. That what appears under a new guise is the question of the institution and the teaching to which I wanted to lead you back today. By definition, the good news of the eternal return, which is a message and a teaching, cannot be heard in the present. But since this news, this message is also that of a certain affirmative, repetition. Yes, yes. A certain return that recommences and reproduces in a certain way the affirmation of the eternal return, and reproduces in a certain way the affirmation of the eternal return. Keeping this affirmation as the eternal return of the same, it is logical that it would give rise to a teaching and an institution. Zarathustra is a teacher. He has a doctrine and he intends to establish new institutions. How are these institutions of the yes related to the ear? I will now look at some quotes. You'll remember this is the B-side of 1608. And I will go back to page 36. There's an interesting quote here about neutrality. A neutrality. Yes, a bit. No, 2 lines further down. A neutrality that is above all not negative or dialectical. I recite therefore without comment, and this is the important, I am both. So see this both as the double heritage, father, mother, life, death, but also the two sides at the same time, above and under, or one not outside and inside in the Möbius strip. Life, death, existence, non-existence. The both is very important here. The bothness of both sides, cause and effect, coming together. Page 37. I am a double in the mid of the page. Ich bin ein Doppelgänger. And this is important. I have a second sight, the gift of a second sight, in addition to the first. That is his capability to have both sides as well as either side. And this is not bragging, it's helping to understand his viewpoint. We can go to, let's see here. The first sentence there. The fact that the signature of the autobiographer remains a credit open onto eternity. And that it refers back to one of the two I's. There are two I's. Dead, alive, both sides, up and down. The two I's contracting its name only through the ring of the eternal return. Does not prevent, indeed it even allows, the one who says, summer have become entirely, and summer noon. The two eyes, we spoke of a second vision here. So eye is synonymous to eyes as vision eyes. Thanks for the tip, dear colleague. It fits excellently here as well. Also to say, I am double, thus I am not to be confused, not yet, with my work. There is a difference or difference. And I like this, just one sentence, are questions. How are these institutions, just before the quote, how are these institutions of the yes related to the ear? And that's where I ended. I got my hearing back today. And I got rid, oh yeah, even better, thank you very much. Just by synchronicity, I got my hearing back today. I can, from 9:30 this morning, I can now hear on my left ear. It's very nice, but it also gives me nausea and lack of balance. But this was an odd and interesting coincidence. The yes, yes, that's often repeated in the text, now got another dimension to it. Hearing, hearing, hearing. It binds together the two sides. They do not separate. I am both cause and effect, I would say also. Compare that to Köster, where one thing seemed to be absolutely rigid and the interpretation, the translation, the take, the approach, the interpretation is a good word, cannot affect the dead thing. It's absolutely separated. Here we have a bit of an opening to that. Opening that can be brought further, I think, but this is the first step to open the hearing, to make it possible once more to open the ear in a wider direction, less stiff-necked, I would say also. There's a corporal, spiritual sign to this. Look for the signs, look for what's around you. It's pointing to vigilance. As we have a problem with the speakers here. Kalle, you're more than welcome to comments.
I will still try. Do you hear me?
By chat or voice.
So let me go to let me see. Contradiction. Ah no, there are too many. Ah, no. Let me see. Ah yes. The principle of contradiction in my life, and the principle, the principle between the principle of death and the principle of life. So is Nietzsche in the trap of the law of excluded middle.
Yes, I would say he is in that trap, partly. I think he's aware of it. Tries to indirectly get out of it. And the first step, as I said earlier, Kalle Lundar, my dear colleague, asked, could it be that Friedrich Nietzsche is in the trap of the excluded middle, referring to LEM, law of the excluded middle. Yes, an incredibly difficult and interesting question, and thank you very much for it. I would say he struggled his whole life with that question, and the double take, Ich bin beide, is the first step of confronting it. It's his first step. And I think that first step is necessary. He eases the things up, he makes them flexible. It is like he does, well, can I say? He does quantum mechanics before it was actually discovered. He tries so hard. And as we know, as was referred into the text, he was taken care after his mental breakdown by his mother. Does the Möbius strip resolve the law of the excluded middle? Yes. I would say, in my view, yes. Because criticizing it as almost is, I would say, indirectly pointed by Nietzsche, it's not enough or it's not sufficient. Möbius strip take in the oppositions. As we can see in this very nice illustration of the Möbius strip, it is both sides, but at the same time, it is distinct. And I really like that one. You have the TD object traversing. Looks like a crab. And here we also understand for there to be oppositions, sameness needs to be as well. So you can see how it resolves. It doesn't criticize, it goes even further or better. I would try not to make this too long, but of course this connects also to Köster's. You can see it as cause and effect. One side being the rigid stone carvings, as I call them, could also be the scribblings of Qumran. The cave in Sardis. No longer will this, so to speak, difficulty be as difficult. It will be an easing up of the stiff-neckedness.
Another.
So, insofar as I am, yeah, all these homonyms disappears in translation. This is a good one. Thank you very much. I like it.
And I follow.
Yes. So insofar as I am and follow after, suis means in French both I am and I follow. Être and suivre. Je suis. En suis. Very good. Yeah. You are in the way you follow. You are the heritage of your father, you successor of your father. So being and following. You see the connection? It is also very similar to François Jacob, where what we are is followed deterministically or contingently from what was before. Therefore, my is what happened before. I follow what's been before. Very good. Yeah, this is just fantastic. That cleared a lot of things up for me. It was the yes, yes, which means, yeah, for the sake of repetition, yes, yes. The French we, yes, is a homophone of we, hearing. And it's repeated in the text by Derrida. Please do not. Yes, I got my hearing back. It was just amazing. Visit to the ear doctor, and all of a sudden I could hear. And also goes to show you, I have both sides, both left and right. It gave me nausea in the beginning. Still does. I feel a little bit sick and, let me say, disoriented. For 1 month, one ear's been out, and I have gotten used to coordinate myself with only one ear. There is always a coordination. And I think that goes to show how important both sides are.
Here, Nietzsche,
I am that and that.
sur, before, sur, their points.
Oh yeah. Here Nietzsche is Saussure before Saussure. There points to the object. Yes. You can say that Nietzsche and Saussure are in the same excluded middle trap, which is very hard to resolve. We should not underestimate how absolutely locking this is and how great the Möbius strip is. And inside, outside of the Klein bottle, I will only refer to her. But it is even greater. It makes everything shine through. Make everything clearer, I would say. There is no obfuscating or opacity to having both sides. It's just the opposite. It's making it clearer. And I see that very well with Custer's text. I think if there's no more questions, maybe we should end here. What do you think here? I say thank you very much for today. It was a sheer pleasure. It is definitely a big step into the second session we made today and the time before. So hereby I end 1608. And I will stop the recording first. There.